Alrighty, so we're going to look at duplicating the VM for router 1. I'm going to remove the configuration I put under interface gig 8. So we're going to do this. Gig 8, no IP address. And of course that killed that connection. That's fine because we still have it pulled up over here. So on the console. And we're also going to remove the IP addressing we put. So no int gig 1.88 gig at 1 no IP address and right. All right. So if we do code run, we should be back to the default. The crypto key will not be a part of the running config because I do not have it set up to export it and have it in the running config. I'm not even sure if these devices allow you to do that anyway, but in any case, we're not doing that. So now that that is done, I'm going to show you how I plan to duplicate these. So we'll jump back into our hypervisor. If I can get my password right. Yeah, I got it right. We're going to go ahead and shut down the VM. So the shutdown command was sent successfully. We're just waiting for it to actually shut down. Alright, it's shut down. So what we would do now, we'll just go to actions, we'll export it. And it's actually going to download it. So we'll save it. And we'll save this one as well. And so now we'll have both of those saved. And this should be a couple hundred megs. And then what we'll do is just re-import these with new VM names repeatedly. And it'll keep all your VM settings and it'll actually have that base configuration that we just set up already applied. And we'll just demonstrate that as soon as it's done downloading. Alright, so we're just going to create our base device there. And now what we'll do is go to virtual machines, create a register VM, deploy a virtual machine from OVF or OVA. We'll call this R1. Select, go to that base, copy both of these files. We'll deploy it to that same data store. And so what it's asking here, it's not just going to create two interfaces, it's going to create all 8. But what it has done is it's looked in a configuration file and it goes, I see 2 networks configured on this device. One called lab network, one called VM network. Which do you want to map these to? So we're going to map lab to lab and VM to VM. And we will do thick provisioning for the disk. And then we'll finish deploying. And you can do multiple of these in parallel, but we're just going to do this one so you can see me import it. We're going to fire it up, configure it to the configuration that it's going to keep, which is putting that management IP address on it, and also configuring the host name, and it should be fine. Okay. So this VM will automatically start up. Now we'll just open the console and watch it boot. Continue. All right, so I actually forgot to remove the host name, and also I forgot to remove the crypto key, so it probably is going to work anyway. So what we'll do is just go it's gig 1. No, what am I doing? Prompt. Let's just see if it works. Yes, it works. So what I'll end up having to do on the next one is actually change the host name and just put the new IP address for management, and it'll be good to go. And they'll just use the same crypto key. Really no big deal. For lab, it doesn't matter. So otherwise, you would need to regenerate the crypto key if you actually care about that kind of stuff. And all you do is just crypto key generate. You just run it again and do that. So that's that. It's actually going to be just fine, but you can see you can duplicate it that way. And just for fun, we'll make another one so I can show you what you need to do if you want to make a separate device. So we'll just do the same thing, create a new virtual machine, not virtual, new virtual machine, deploy, LR2, select, okay, next, thick, VM, next, finished. So deploying really is that straightforward. Once you've done it enough times, it really takes no time. I'm actually just gonna, I'm just gonna wait because it's gotta upload the disk, so I don't want to slow it down any more than I have to. That way I can just show you how to configure a second router, get it going, so we can end this video, and we can do the next video, which is the iOS XR v9K. And that one will be more or less the same thing, just configuring the VM is a little bit more in depth. But that's all. So once we get this showcased, that'll be all. Alrighty, so router 2 is firing up. We can jump in here. Give me my console. Gimme. Alright. And this will boot. And because I removed that IP from the management interface, I don't have to worry about IP address conflicts, which is a smart thing to do if you're going to be duplicating them. And that way I can configure just the host name and the IP address from the console, and everything else is done. So you can see this is actually a relatively painless process, or just not as painful. I don't know if you're used to like Windows unattended setups or answer files. This may not be as painless as that, even though that has its own pain. But whatever, this will get you where you need to go. Okay, so this one is already finished booting. We just gotta wait for it to load the configuration. Alright, so it says configuration was applied and saved to MB RAM. So host name, his name R2, gig 8, IP address 10, 002, and right. And let's test it from over here. Forgot I have a host key set for that one too. So this is under line 21. All right, now we're good to go. Yay for them. Anyway, it's up and working. And that's all you need to do. And so you can just duplicate this as many times as you need routers. And you can do really cool stuff with the virtual interfaces. So for example, so this is an example of what they're doing with sub interfaces and VLANs. So they basically have a bunch of routers connected the same way I have on the hypervisor, but because they're using .1q encapsulation on the sub interfaces, they're just using one interface. And so this is the virtual topology. They just have gig 1 on all of their routers connected to the same vSwitch on the hypervisor, which is also connected to switch 1. And then they're able to do sub-interface. Sub-interface 100 on all of these are going to be on the same network. And that traffic is actually going to be isolated from all the traffic that's on sub-interface 23 of that same gig 1. So they're able to do a lot with that. And it is a pretty smart, clever way to do things. And you can leverage this in your own lab environment so you don't have to do a bunch of crazy cabling and stuff. Because that stuff is fun. But then after a while it gets old when you start building really large topologies. So there you go. This is how you set up a lab environment to accomplish that. So you can deploy yourself 10 routers, 20 routers, whatever, and do this to your heart's content. So that's all for this video. We'll be back with another video to configure the ESXi V9000. And you'll also be able to employ that device in your lab as well. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time.